In today's episode, we are getting into something a little bit juicy, a little bit controversial. AI proof companies. Why the winners won't actually be the most automated. And this all came from a few conversations that I've been having. But the one conversation I had with my brother who runs AI integration at Google. And I was kind of having a little bit of a meltdown saying, is what I do still valid? Am I going down the wrong path supporting the people and specifically the people who develop others, right? I support talent development people. So it was kind of at the peak of my panic, so to speak. It was when it was at its absolute loudest. And he was with me. He visited me. I saw him literally for the first time in 6 years. It was so wonderful. But I was trying to get this like career advice, right, from someone who is super successful in business. And I was like, okay, tell me straight, do I need to pivot? Do I need to stop supporting these people who matter so much to me? But honestly, if it's not the right path, I need to pivot. And you are going to tell me. And what he said to me was so comforting, honestly. He said, look, the work you do matters so much. Keep doing it because what is going to be the differentiating factor in this AI integrated workplace will be the humans and the human skills and what makes us unique. And, I can talk a long time about this conversation that I had with him, but what I want you to know is that it is you, the people in talent development and learning and development. And if you're not in those functions and you're listening anyway, it is going to be your unique human qualities, your experience, your ability to put things into context, your draw from what you've been through, right? Like, and pulling that all in and making the puzzle fit together that makes sense for other humans. And that's the whole episode, honestly. The guy, my brother, building the AI and integrating it into, probably Fortune 50 companies, told me, who builds the human capability, to not stop. So let's get into why, because this wasn't just a conversation. I have done my master's thesis on what it takes to remain relevant in an AI integrated workplace. I have also spent a lot of time researching this, so I just want to unpack it during this podcast episode. So welcome. If you're new here, I am Candice Mitchell. I am the founder and CEO of the Talent Collective, and this is a solo episode. Other episodes include amazing guests where we dig into their career stories. So if it's something that you're enjoying listening to and really digging in to these human stories, I would love a follow. And if you loved this episode, I would also appreciate a rating. It puts us in such a good place to promote this show even more. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this episode. We're talking about what makes a company AI proof, and it's definitely not the one with the most automation. So you will know which person on your team is worried they'd be the first cut. And look, it might be you. Every planning cycle, that same thought sitting under everything. If this company had to lose people, would they lose me first? That thought isn't new, and AI just made it louder. And here's what most of what you're hearing gets completely wrong. It tells you the answer is you. Build the right skills, become irreplaceable, outrun the machine yourself. And look, that's half true. And I've learned half true is the dangerous kind because it stops you looking at the other half. Your skills only carry you as far as the company around you is willing to go. You can be the most AI ready person in the building. And if that company treats people like line items, watch how fast your AI ready skills stop mattering. So that's what today is actually about. What makes a company come out of this stronger instead of thinner, and how you spot one, whether you're already inside it or sitting across the table in an interview before you sign anything. And let me tell you where I am personally standing on this, because it matters for how you take what I'm about to say. I have not worked inside an AI first company per se. 20 years in this work, I've stood up 7 learning and development functions from absolute scratch. I have supported 14 industries across 4 continents. So not one of those was a place where AI was running things from day one. So I am not reporting from inside the machine here. This is my read built on my experience and watching what is making people valuable at work. Hundreds of conversations, and one conversation in particular I keep coming back to. And again, that is the conversation with my brother. This guy is not sentimental about human specialness. He builds the thing. And when I asked him if our work matters, he didn't hedge, right? Like, that's the differentiator. And I have spoken with many other, you can call them AI futurists or AI first people, everyone on LinkedIn who is suddenly this AI expert. And all of them are also saying it is the humans. So while everyone is zigging towards the tools, I am zagging towards the people. And truly not because I'm precious about it, which I am, but we'll get into that another day, but because I've sat in real rooms. So anyone can plug financials into AI, anyone can plug a process into AI, but no one can plug a person into it. The nuance, the context, the thing happening in a room that nobody wrote down anywhere. Only a human can catch that. And you heard me say that this AI proof company, it doesn't mean the company with the most tools. And I need you to really hear that, because it's the part, honestly, that everyone is getting completely backwards. Some of the most exposed companies I know of are the ones who automated hardest and fastest, right? They stripped out all of the human work and then looked around and realized, oh, beep, nobody left could think, judge, lead, or read a room. They spent the money on the rocket and forgot to build anyone who could fly it. So an AI-proof company builds real human capability first, like at entry level. So when AI takes the transactional stuff, the repeatable stuff, the process work, the humans are not like scrambling to prove that they still matter. They're already stepped up into that judgment and creativity space and leadership and innovation and strategy. That's the whole game right there. And it lives in your people function, not in your tech stack. And a quick thing, just before I get into the 5 traits, because this is audio and I built something visual for this one. It's called the 5-spoke impact model. And it maps out exactly what a people function drives when it's operating like infrastructure instead of overhead. And I put it up as a download for subscribers on the Capability Edge Substack. So if you're someone who wants that on your wall, or you want to walk into a board meeting with it in your deck, go and grab it. The link's in the description. It's not required, obviously, to keep listening. It's just useful if you like seeing the shape of things, not just hearing about it. Okay, let's dig into the 5 traits now. Number 1, they treat capability as infrastructure, not a nice to have. There's a real difference between the two. A nice to have has to compete. Every quarter, you are fighting for budget and attention against sales, against product, against whatever fire is burning that month. In a company growing fast, L&D loses that fight almost every time. And I have sat in those boardrooms and watched it lose. Infrastructure, on the other hand, doesn't compete for anything. Nobody debates to have plumbing. The companies that are going to win through this made capability like plumbing, a lot of the time before they even had the language for it. And here's the test you can run in an interview. Ask them one question. How does this company decide what capability to build, and how does that connect to where the business is going? Then just listen. A pause, a shrug, a pivot to, we have a great learning platform. That's a nice to have company. A specific answer that ties straight to a business outcome, that's infrastructure. You'll know inside of like 30 seconds. Trait 2 is that their people team runs like a business partner and absolutely not like a service desk. In these companies, the people team isn't the group you call when you need a course built or a compliance box ticked. They're the ones who catch a capability gap before it becomes a performance problem. They're in the strategy conversation while the strategy is being set, not after, when it's already decided and somebody needs a training build to roll it out. That move, zooming out from the one-off ask to the whole landscape, is the hardest thing to learn how to do. It's honestly a big chunk of what I cover inside the Talent Development Academy, because once you can do it, every room you walk into changes. Moving on to trait number 3. They build the core human capabilities on purpose in everyone, not just the top 40 or the hypos in a leadership program. Every company is going to automate what it can automate. The ones who win are building what can't be automated at the same time across the whole organization. And this is where the core capabilities framework came from, out of the Talent Collective's work with companies quadrupling in size. 5 capabilities AI cannot touch. And they're the ones that decide how a company holds up under any disruption. It is connect the dots, so that's strategic thinking, connect with people, so communication and influence, stuff like that. Optimize, pointing tools and systems in the right direction with actual judgment. Resilience, staying effective when things are ambiguous and hard, because that's going to happen. And then emotional intelligence, reading people and rooms without getting them wrong. The companies winning at this aren't running a workshop on these and calling it done. They build them into how a manager gives feedback, into what good means in a performance review, into the actual daily operating system. Trait number 4 is that they measure what capability produces, not what learning delivers. The old way, you measure learning and development by completions and happy sheets and hours in a seat. It feels like proof, but it absolutely proves nothing. In an AI-proof company, you're measuring capability gaps closed, time to productivity, whether the leadership bench got deeper, whether good people stayed. And that's the 5-spoke impact model I mentioned earlier. Getting and keeping the right people, building capability at every level, making high performance possible, and making the org quicker to adapt. Just in general, making the place better to work. None of that is a learning metric. All of it lands in the business, and all of it shows up in a board conversation. Okay, number 5, the final trait. They have people at every level who can grow other people. The winning companies don't route everyone's development through one central learning and development team that is probably permanently underwater. If you know, you know. Learning and development team could be a strong word. You might be the learning and development team of one. You might be it, okay? And I know you are underwater. You are not able to deliver on all the demand. The companies that are going to thrive, they build leaders at every level who actually know how to grow the people around them. They know who to coach. They know how to give feedback to people that they can use. This is the multiplier effect. You grow the people leaders and they grow everyone else. It's the whole reason Talent Collective exists. Enable the enablers. A manager who can't grow their team is a bottleneck. Now multiply that by 1,000 people, and you've got one of the most expensive problems a scaling company has. And it's a problem that will never show up on a finance report. It shows up later. Attrition, slow ramps, your good people walking out the door. You pay for it either way. If you want to sit with these 5 and actually run them against your own company, again, I've written it all for you on Substack with the exact interview questions to ask across the table and the language to use internally so this doesn't stay theory. So this episode will give you the thinking, the basics, and on Substack, you can get the tools that you can actually use on Monday. Let's run through some of the questions you can ask yourself and maybe your team to see if you're already in an AI-proof company. So we're going to run through 4 questions, answer them honestly, like it's, 6 a.m., nobody's watching, it's just you and me. Question 1, does your people function get pulled into strategy before the decisions get made? Or do you find out after with a training request attached? Question 2 for you is, when your team presents to leadership, is the room talking about learning activities or business outcomes? Question 3, are the core capabilities like strategic thinking, communication, resilience, EQ, judgment about the tools, is it actually written into your performance expectations? Or are they treated like personality traits that some people are just born with and some are not? And question number 4 is, when a capability gap shows up, a slow ramp of a new employee, a manager that is just falling apart, or a good person quitting, what happens first? Is it training didn't work or a new training request? Or is it an actual diagnostic conversation? Add these 4 up and you already know which pile you're in. If by listening to this, you realize that you are not in an AI-proof company, or that your company might be falling a little bit behind, you've got 2 options. You can find a better room, so go look for a company that's ahead. Or you could be the person who fixes the one that you're in. Okay, both are legitimate options. Neither one is easy. If you are interviewing right now, ask those same 4 questions when you're across the table. How does the people function get pulled into business planning? What happened the last time a performance problem came up? Training request or diagnostic. These answers tell you if you're about to join an infrastructure company or an afterthought company. And don't talk yourself out of hearing the real answers. If you're sitting in the scary room today, that's not automatically a reason to leave. Sometimes the biggest move of your whole career is being the one who drags a company from this place of maybe not readiness into the strong side. That doesn't happen by accident. Somebody makes the case, builds the model, shows the business what capability actually produces. That somebody has a name, and it could be yours. And one more thing I want to throw into this episode for anyone sitting across from a CEO who thinks that capability is a cost. Don't walk in selling them on the value of the investment. Walk in and name the cost of doing nothing instead. A CEO doesn't move because you love learning. Believe me, I have tried. A CEO moves when they see money leaking somewhere. So the slow ramp of that new employee, that means basically every new hire takes 3 extra months to earn their salary back. Or the manager who can't develop anyone. So their best people quit and you're paying to replace them. Or the attrition HR reports as a percentage that the CEO has genuinely never seen turned into a dollar figure. That's truly not 5 problems. That is one problem wearing 5 different costumes. A company scaling without any capability system underneath it. If you can get those numbers into your next P&L, offer the fix, and don't use learning and development language while you do it, the second you say learning outcomes, you've lost the room. Talk business. Capability is infrastructure. It is not an expense line item. Here's the line running under everything I just said. AI didn't create this shift. The move from reactive order taking work to strategic business connected work has been building for years. Plenty of good people were already making that move on their own. AI just took the slow version off the table. So what used to be a change you could ease into over 10 years is now the change the best people teams are choosing to make on purpose this year. The people coming out of this stronger and the companies coming out of this stronger are making the exact same move, building the human capability before it feels urgent, not as a panic response to a tool, but as the ground they've chosen to stand on. That ground is available to you right now, available to your company too. The only real question is timing. You build it now while you've got room to do it properly, or you build it later when it costs more and you're doing it in a hurry or a panic. I'd build it now if I were you. And I'm sure that is you since you are listening to this episode in the first place. And I want you to feel fully supported in this journey. So if this landed for you, I do recommend jumping into the Capability Edge on Substack for the full write-up along with the 5-spoke model download. The link is in the description. This episode is for the ones who are tired of defending a function nobody else in the room understands. I am Candice Mitchell. It has been a pleasure to go through this with you, and I will see you in the next episode.